Welcome viewers to the Thought Leader Show. I'm your host Major Sunil Shetty. Human and computer interaction is a new age alliance that focuses on interaction between humans and computers. It's all about enhancing a person's cognitive and decision-making capacity by using technology and without disturbing the natural order of events. Well, to discuss this with me, joining me today is Mr. Avinash Punekar, who's the CEO at IIT Mandi, iHub, and HCI Foundation, who will be sharing with us insights on how the Himalayan Startup Grand Trek Challenge aims to promote the use of technology in our daily routine, as well as complex business and social decision-making processes. Welcome, Mr. Punekar. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me here. Hello, everyone.
So, sir, when you talk about, computers and human being and the interaction itself, which is what you look at, share us a little bit of insight into, what does it actually mean when you talk about humans and computer or technology interaction through computers?
Well, human-computer interaction so far, the common perception that we have is through vision and hearing. That is what we are interacting with our devices. The third element which has got added is basically the touch or the haptic feedback. Now, this is not only one-way feedback, but this is also could be a two-way feedback. So this is the third perception or the third sense which comes into play. The other two senses which are more critical, and that's where we are focusing right now, are basically sense of smell and sense of taste. So this is something that, as we go forward, the technology is evolving, where we are going to have a completely multisensory experience of interacting with computers. And that is where we are focusing on making India the global leader. This multisensory interaction with computers, brain-computer interface. So all these technologies, that is where we see the future is going to be. And we want to ensure that India becomes number one in these domains.
So when you talk about the multi-dimensional interaction between humans and the technology or through computer, where are we at current stage, both as a country, that is India, and then globally from a technology application side of it?
Well, when we look at actually the two senses of audio and video, we are one of the leading ones. Thanks to actually a lot of entertainment content which is produced in the country, and with actually the sophistication in the technology which is there. So we are probably right on the forefront in HCI domain with audio and video elements. It's basically the sense of touch, haptics is where we are probably not as much ahead as some of the other leaders around the world. And the fourth and fifth elements, which are sense of smell and taste, these are emerging research areas. So right now, you can't really say that one country is the absolute leader or some other country is leading something else. Right now, all of them are experimenting, doing research on these technologies, and so are we. And we're hoping that in next couple of years, we would be right on top of it. And in terms of brain-computer interface, this is again a very nascent area, and we've already started making a good headway in these technology areas. And there are lots of bright youngsters, bright researchers, scientists who are there for working in these domains. And I'm quite sure that in next 2 to 3 years, we would be considered as a number one country for anything to do with multisensory interaction or brain-computer interface.
So that brings me to the next question, which is, you're part of one of the leading technology institutes, IIT Mandi, and also, you are you're also the CTO at Apex Covantage and president at PubHub. Given your experience and exposure, where do you see currently, when it comes to Indian young talent, where are they? Are they at the stage where they will be able to deliver, cutting edge technology for us? I'm talking from the standpoint of, want to know your insights into it as part of IIT Mandi and also your association with global organizations?
Absolutely, the youngsters are right there. Okay, I have complete faith and trust in their ability to lead us forward. And one of the key reasons for me to come from actually the external environment into something which is related to academia is basically the understanding of the necessity by Department of Science and Technology to ensure that we provide accelerated platform for our startups and youngsters in these technology areas. What typically happens is most of our startups and youngsters, they don't necessarily have access to the right kind of research talent, which is mostly lying with academic institutions or government labs or other research labs. So this is basically the objective of iHub has been to actually put these things together and ensure that instead of working in a bureaucratic manner, the setup works in a completely corporate fashion. And it's much more responsive to the requirements of innovators, entrepreneurs, especially when they need support in research and development.
So now coming to the event itself, which is HST Startup Grand Challenge. Tell us about this event. What is it all about?
I would actually let Saurabh Mittal talk more about the overall event. What I would probably be talking about is the HCI theme and part of this challenge, which is focused on human-computer interaction or brain-computer interface. What we are looking at is basically encouraging startups, youngsters, innovators, researchers to start building their organizations, their ideas, and convert them into products, tangible products, which are not restricted just to software development or software applications, mobile applications, but also hardware. So we've been coming across lots of young startups which are working in the area of developing specific hardware customized for brain-computer interface or multisensory inputs. We want to encourage these startups and take their ideas right from actually the idea stage all the way to product stage and commercialization stage. So that is our key actually focus in this. And what we are going to do is one of the key approach that we have taken, the most important approach is to ensure that the intellectual property stays with innovators and creators of that IP. So we're going to assist them in publications of their research papers or the filing for their patents, but ultimately they would be the owners of the IP. And that is when we're intending to give them that leg up right up in the beginning. And with the kind of research and development support which IIT Mandi and other institutions can provide, we're hoping that these youngsters would be able to build the next unicorns in the area of HCI and BCI from India.
As an institution, what kind of courses or what kind of training or skills that you provide when it comes to human-computer interaction?
Well, as an institution, IIT Mandi itself has a number of courses which are geared up for providing right inputs to everyone. So a lot of entrepreneurs or startups which are chosen would be mentored by expert faculty members from IITs in these areas of HCI and BCI. So the expertise, the knowledge base which is there is going to be available as mentors to all these startups who would be handheld, who would be given the guidance which is required to ensure that their idea, their product succeeds.
So when you talk about human computer interaction, as a nation, as a country, do we have companies or skills or mentors who can work with the next generation of experts who can be handheld and taken, who can be mentored onto building the technology, the future technology?
Yes, we do have some of these elements in place. We do have mentors, especially if you look at researchers and faculty members working, doing research in these areas. They have been on the forefront. Now, how do we translate actually the theoretical or the classroom knowledge and get it converted into like products which are going to be commercialized. So that is when like these entrepreneurs would get a lot of help. The mentors are there. In terms of companies, we don't exactly have too many companies working in these domains, but there are some companies which have already been there and they've been doing some excellent work. So there are a few companies working in the area of augmented reality, virtual reality, really at the cutting edge, and not just like actually using these kind of technologies for, say, superficial like purposes like creating demos or those kind of videos, but more for like training or actual like operations. So there've been like a couple of companies which have emerged over last few years. What we want to do is basically make that number significantly larger. So instead of like, if we are looking at like about 10 companies right now, we want to have like 100 companies in next 1 or 2 years, which would be right on top in HCI and BCI areas.
As an institution, are you also exploring ways to collaborate with foreign institutions or companies to bring these expertise for your students and for the startup ecosystem in general?
Yes, precisely. We have already taken a couple of steps in that direction. We have a couple of domestic MOUs that we have signed with some of the private sector organizations, also academic and research organizations within the country. We've also tied up with a leading organization in Japan, which works in similar areas. And we're also looking at like few more collaborations, which would be coming up in the Middle East, Europe, and US. So definitely like we are going to ensure that like there are enough partners, both from India and outside, which can provide us the intellectual bandwidth or the mentorship or like support which is going to be required.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear. So, coming to the event, what's your message to all the potential applicants out there, startups, aspiring entrepreneurs, who should be taking part in it? What's your message for them?
Well, I would like to say that like come down for the event, impress us, give us your wildest ideas. I'm not going to be scared of like touching the most wild idea or most infeasible idea, because one of the key mandate that iHub has is to really go for these grand challenges and go for something which is really outlandish idea or a moonshot. So we are not going to be afraid of supporting moonshot efforts also. So anyone who wants to like really come down there should not hesitate that like this idea is really far out, and then it might take like a couple of more years before like anyone in India can probably like accept that idea. We want to hear about that idea today in this event, and we want to really run with that idea. So we are looking for like really impressive ideas, and the talent which is there, I'm quite sure that we are going to be flooded with such ideas.
Well, we also hope that, and it's very encouraging to hear an institution like IIT Mandi talking about moonshot ideas, because it's all about finding that people who are willing to give that shot and think outside the box and build something unique.
True.
Thank you very much for that, sir. And finally, My Startup TV, the channel for startups and enablers like IIT Mandi and thought leaders like you. What are your thoughts about our channel?
This is something which is a very interesting job which is being done by the channel. I have been like really impressed with like some of the people who've been featured in like all these like videos and like interviews which have been there, and it's really impressive. This has been like one of the best like actually channels or best mechanisms for the startup community to have, and that's something which I am hoping that like this also becomes more common. One like possible thing is I would definitely want to like see a lot more people from tier 2, tier 3 cities and maybe vernacular backgrounds coming into play, because one thing we've noticed is they're equally good, if not better ideas. It's just that some of these people lack the ability to communicate and they prefer to stay out. So I'm quite sure that like with time, I would see far more of like these people also coming on your channel. Thank you for an excellent job that you guys are doing, and keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time. And yes, we have launched My Startup TV Hindi as well, and we aim to, with support from institutions like yours, we would be able to cover other major languages as well. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for joining
Excellent.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we look forward to hosting you on some of our panel talks as well. Thank you.